Yeah, it's the Don B. JR Show, Soul Brother #1 with that soul glow. Whether you sitting at your desktop or your laptop, get the message of the light workers from today's top spiritual leaders. Don B here to teach us. Open up your third eye, ear to the speaker. He speaks the truth whenever he can. The sign of a man signing up as part of the plan. In the span of time for this earth to grow, it's the Don B, one and only JR Show. In the span of time for this earth to grow, it's the Don B, one and only JR Show. Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, my people, what's up? Don Bernard here once again, trying to do what I do best, having a pretty interesting day here. You know, it's funny, Jamie, because I was talking about, time management being something I'm getting better at, and today it's almost like that was a karma thing, because now I'm having a moment where it's getting a little crazy on my time, but we're working it out.
It's all good. We're here.
It's all good. So today I have the lovely Jamie McCall on the line. She's just doing so many things. Dancer, naval officer. Are you still like a naval officer? Is that something that's still relevant to who you are?
Oh, it's definitely relevant, but no, I'm not active duty anymore. But I'm very much active with with veterans advocacy, rights and benefits for veterans, and I stay very close to the troops and my friends that are still in. So
awesome. And
yeah.
Aspiring actress. I almost feel like you're finding a way to filter through some higher energy into multimedia, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you've actually hit the nail on the head, except for I don't use any words like aspiring or trying or anything. I'm doing. I am a professional actress.
Yes.
I am currently.
Go ahead with your bad self. Yeah.
Not trying.
Let the people know. Yeah, it's funny. It's so funny. I just said that to you because someone had, actually my cousin, I was on the phone with him yesterday. We're going to be collaborating on some things. And the same thing happened where he was like, well, I know, you got some things you're trying to do. And I was like, hold up, what are you talking about trying to do?
Exactly. I'm doing it. I'm accomplishing. There's a big difference between aspiring or trying and accomplishing.
Right.
I don't mean to be a smartass. I just like to make that distinction because I think it's really important that we claim who we are and what we're doing.
That's right.
Who else is going to do it if we don't do it?
I totally agree with that. And, I feel like that's where people get Kanye West wrong, too. I think a lot of times he was just trying to state, because he had no one around him who was believing in him in the way he needed to believe in himself to acquire the things he wanted to acquire. So he had to kind of come off cocky and all these things. And yes, perhaps took it too far. But yeah, you have to state these things because people will put you down in a millisecond and not even be conscious of it.
Exactly. They don't even realize that they're being unintentionally malicious when they don't believe in you.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, it's funny because you kind of remind me of myself and being somewhat of an octopus with tentacles going in varying directions, yet still connected to one source. So have you always seen yourself doing a lot of things all at once, or is that like part of your personality that just evolved into that?
No, I've always pretty much been very, very multifaceted. I've always been an artistic person in the arts and sciences, in the arts and the performing arts, but then on the other hand, I always really enjoyed the maths and sciences as well. And, being a Navy officer, it's kind of the opposite of being, a performing artist.
Right.
So like in college, I majored in liberal arts, foreign languages, but then I had a minor in naval science. So I basically had to take all of the subjects on both sides of the spectrum. But I really enjoyed it. I've always been that way. So
what's your favorite subject?
Parallel paths. My favorite subject. Oh God, there's so many. I just love to learn. I'm like a sponge. But I really enjoy, languages, cultures, religions, anthropology, anthropological type studies.
Yeah.
Yeah, religious studies. You learn so much about people and history and culture through religious studies because that's a powerful force, you know, in humanity. So.
When did you start doing martial arts?
Martial arts, I've always wanted to do it. I did a little bit of self-defense, you know, with my naval training because everybody has to. But just a few years ago when I came here, I got linked up with Billy Blanks. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a Taibo King, but he's actually like a 6th-degree black belt.
Yeah.
And he's done some movies himself and stuff like that. And he's very powerful spiritually as well. He's a strong Christian man. And we just really, we got presented to each other, and then we just really hit it off. And he took me in, and I trained over there for a little while until he shut down his shop, which was, you know, I cried. Everybody cried. I really want to get back into it, but I haven't been able to yet. I want to go to the Chinese styles next, like Kung Fu.
So how come he shut down his shop?
Well, that's another story. That's his own personal stuff. It was you know, it was a family empire. He'd been there like, I don't know, 12 to 15 years, and he just wasn't growing anymore. So he shut it down to do other things. But yeah.
You know, my one of my previous teachers, I've had a few teachers, but I believe he either, I don't know if they learned together, him and Billy Blanks, but there's some history there. This goes back for me now, so that's why I don't remember the history of what he told me. But my teacher was Samad Haq. Here we go again, having some interconnections. You know, but yeah, my teacher Samad Haq, he was my girlfriend at the time. It was her father, and it was mainly dealing with kung fu. But he started with karate though. He started with karate, and then he did kung fu, and he had this what he called like an iron arm. It was crazy. Like he could actually make his arm feel like steel. Like if you were to bang up against it, it would feel almost like it was like you were touching metal. It's just amazing what the martial artist can do. You know, it takes our imagination to another level.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the time, it kind of it was synchronistic for what was going on with me personally, because I had just moved here to LA, and I'd been here about a year, I think, and I was really beginning to evolve and start a different kind of spiritual journey, and it really fit in. I started looking into Bruce Lee and his philosophies, and really fit in with mine. And you know how he started Jeet Kune Do, and basically was saying there is no one perfect right style. You need to, you know, study all the styles and take what works for you and make it your own. And that's the same thing I feel about religion and spirituality and that kind of thing, is that you need to really, you know, look around. I like to find the truth in everything, and I think there is truth in everything. And so I look around and see what works for me, take what fits, and use it. You know, it's like a toolbox.
No doubt about it. In terms of also with martial arts, I'm wondering, you know, does it help you, you know, in this world of entertainment? Is there a way that it connects and interrelates for you?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I'm not currently active in training. I do want to get back into it, but I did do a little bit of stunt training, and you know, it depends on what your goals are. But I mean, it's definitely a good thing to have on your resume if you have some kind of martial arts training or stunt training. Yeah. You know, especially if you want to be like Angelina Jolie and be a big A-list action star, which I do.
Oh, hey.
You know, yeah, and do all your own stunts like Tom Cruise. I mean, you know, I'm an adrenaline junkie, and I'm a big risk taker. My poor mother. and yeah, she told me, don't tell me about anything until after you've already survived it, please. She's so cute, but yeah, it definitely helps, definitely.
So you're really close with Mom?
Oh yeah, definitely, my whole family. But yeah, my mom is just an amazing woman. I mean, as you can imagine, she's very different from me, but I have so much respect for her. She's just a pillar of strength and integrity. It's just she just amazes me every day.
How is she different? Like more quiet, I imagine?
Well, no, she's not quiet.
Oh, okay.
She speaks her mind, but she's very private. She's not public at all.
I see.
She's a little bit, you know, introverted and shy when it comes to some things, but not about speaking her mind, that's for sure, and asserting herself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are you the only one, or do you have brothers and sisters, or what?
Oh, yeah, lots. I'm the oldest of 4 that I was raised with, and then my biological father had 3 more that I'm also close with. Half siblings, so it's a nice big family. There's lots of love there. There was a lot of, divorce and separation and that kind of thing. But out of all of that, I got a lot of friends and a lot of love. So I really can't complain.
Yeah, I love big families. I mean, I'm the only child, but at the same time, I have a lot of cousins and aunts and all that stuff. And I don't know. To me, it's like the more family you have, the more friends you have, the more love you got to go around. You really?
I think so too.
You know?
And I really think that, I mean, I didn't know you were an only child, but I think that having siblings really does help you to learn how to socialize and acclimate into society and sharing and giving and rules on, conduct and behavior and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm not a mom, but I'm just saying, I would imagine that's a really good tool for parents to use.
Totally. And, it's interesting, too, because I'm interviewing this guy, Jed Rosen. He does a powerful series on forgiveness. And I was also talking with his wife, who is a psychotherapist, and she was saying how having a big family, because she was of 8, so she's one of 8. She is a middle child. And she was saying it was easier for her to learn how to forgive because she had to deal with so many brothers. You can't hold on to it. It's like life is still moving,
Yeah.
Whereas, like I was saying, I'm really good at holding on to stuff. And I think maybe it's because of being the only child. So, yeah, there are pros and cons.
Yeah, absolutely.
People, though, they usually say they can tell when someone's the only child.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't know that, and it surprises me a little bit because you usually can tell, but you seem to be. I don't want to offend anybody, but you seem to be very, outreaching and giving and sharing and I don't have anything against only children, but it's just you sometimes can tell they're.
So we're more stingy.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to go there.
Because, like, I'm the only child, so, like, I never fully understood the stigma, per se, like, oh, you're an only child. But I guess that's what it is. That makes sense, though. Like, not knowing how to share on the same levels. That makes sense. I mean, you can't have everything. What can you say? But like I said, probably the difference with me is because I live with my 2 cousins, my older cousins, and they were like my sisters. So that's why I say it's just about having a lot of family around you. So for me, they were like siblings. So that's a bit of a
there you go. That
there
makes sense then.
Yeah. So with acting and film work, is that something you always wanted to do, or is it kind of new?
Professionally, I've only been doing it about 6 years now, but like I said, I started in dance since I was a little girl. Since I could walk, I started dancing and getting into stage production, musicals and performances and plays, all growing up, and then, matter of fact, all the way through college. I was on the dance team in college as well as Navy ROTC, so I was a busy girl.
You've been your dance on.
Yeah, but I was also in music. I was a violinist for many years. I played the piano, and I'm a poet. I've written and self-published some of my poetry. So I just think that if you're an artistic, creative expression type of person, that it's going to manifest, if you allow it, in many different areas. I just think that's the nature of the game.
You remember your first performance dancing?
My very first one.
Right? That's like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, I was like a little girl. It was a pretty big recital, a few thousand people at in an auditorium. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it was fun though. That's the place to be, is on stage. I mean, I eventually want to get back into stage production and go do Broadway. When money doesn't matter. When I get to that point.
Go. Yeah, no. I mean, I think I remember, because I always was dancing. I mean, Michael Jackson. How could you not be, if you're a performer, you were inspired by Michael Jackson. So I always had that in me, but then it was really in middle school. That's when I took jazz. And, it seemed a little soft, for guys to be taking jazz, so I was a little reluctant, like, I ain't going in that jazz class. But it was probably one of the best things ever, just to have an outlet. I think a lot of times kids don't have outlets.
Yeah, dance is so powerful. It's always been a really big part of my life, and for me, it's like almost a necessity. Like I almost feel like I have a black hole in my stomach if I don't dance, you know, and but especially performing and getting on stage, it's just a really powerful energy rush of a feeling, and I just feel like I belong there, and I bring joy to people that watch me. I always say, I'm going to go Kanye on you again. To watch me dance is to fall in love, and it's so true because, you know, I mean, I guess you just got to see it. But I've seen you, too. You dance salsa as well. We have something else in common. The Latin dance is my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I got into salsa, like, in 2007, and totally fell in love. Totally fell in love with salsa.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's sexy and sensual and passionate and exciting. It's just something just different than anything. I studied it. I did it. I haven't taken like formal ballroom, but I'm mostly street salsa. But I did it a little bit in D.C. when I was stationed in Washington, D.C. But then when I moved down, when I got stationed in Puerto Rico, man, I was dancing salsa every night. At least every weekend. Yeah, it's amazing. That's like salsa central down there in the Caribbean.
Well, it's interesting how I finally got deeply into salsa was I took a trip to Scandinavia. So I went to Denmark, I went to Sweden, and I went to Finland. And when I was in Sweden, I went to this amusement park on a Tuesday, and just synchronistically, it was the only time that they have salsa on a Tuesday. So I go and I take this class, and it was awesome. You know, I mean, it's salsa, right? But then what happens is then you have social. So that's when all the people who are, you know, in the area come to dance. And of course, their level of salsa is completely different than this beginner class I just took. So I'm just feeling like an idiot. I'm like, there's no way in heck I'm about to ask one of these girls to dance.
Aww.
So it was like the first time I was like, this is what the white guys feel like when they can't dance.
That's funny.
You know, like, that's totally what I had to, you know, it has to feel like that, because there was no way. And matter of fact, I got the courage to ask this one girl. I asked her to dance, and we went out, we started dancing, but I couldn't do nothing, really. You know, it was like all these little whack moves, and I just felt like a loser. So I said, you know what, when I go home, I'm going to find an instructor, and I'm going to master this thing. And that's what I did.
Wow. And that is just really bizarre that you first tried salsa in a Scandinavian country at a theme park.
Well, that wasn't my first time, though. Like, I took a class in Newark, New Jersey, like a few months before that. That was my initial. But this was just at a different level. This was like a full-on, you know, like, so there's just so many real deal salsa dancers, and I was like, like, this is it. This is where I need to be. And I think that motivates people a lot too, just knowing that, you know, there's so much to gain in something. Like, you're way low on the scale, so it's like, hold up, there's a lot here. I felt the same way with martial arts. Like, I saw how rich it was.
I was just going to say that exact same thing. The martial arts was the same way. Like, I was training 4 hours a day. I was just so excited. I was like, feed me, you know, I want to get better and better and better. It's invigorating, you know, when you know that you can continually get better, and you watch other people that are better. It's not an envious feeling at all. It's like, wow, I can get to that level, and then I could get beyond that, you know?
Totally. I mean, I know there's a part of me that does get competitive at the same time, though. I mean, are you competitive?
Oh, absolutely, but I think competition should be a healthy thing, and then that's a far cry from envy. It's like
yeah.
It's a totally different frequency if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right, yeah, that's definitely true. I think that maybe some people just get a little too crazy sometimes with trying to be something, and so then you look at other people and it seems like they have everything and you have nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get like that sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's a constant work in progress. But every time my mind starts to go that direction, I have to redirect it, because I know that that's not productive. Yeah. Not only is it not productive, it's completely false illusion, because there's enough for everybody, and there's enough mastery for everybody, there's enough abundance for everybody, there's enough success for everybody, because everybody's path is completely different. So just because someone is doing well in this area, doesn't mean you can't also do well in that area. You know, you just have to keep striving.
Yeah, you know, you bring up a really good point, because that kept me away from doing a lot of things I always aspired to do when I was younger, like, you know, rapping. Like that's something I always had inside of me. But when I was in college, it was like there was so many other good MCs that it was like, there's no room for me. But it's like, hey, you can do your thing and I can do my thing. And that feeds into that whole, you know, idea that there's scarcity in the universe. You know, that...
Absolutely. You know, I know that exact thing you're talking about, because, but I think we're feeding into what other people want us to believe. Like, because when I came here, of course, you know, Hollywood is the biggest competitive market that there is, I think, that exists on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world coming here wanting to be an actor. And I come here, and, you know, I'm an attractive, blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, and everybody's saying, you know how much competition there is for blondes and actresses, wannabe actresses in Hollywood? You're never going to make it. Mm-hmm. And you know, so that's like a constant feed-in that you basically have to ignore, because I just don't buy into that. I know that I'm unique. I have something different to offer, and my path, I'm gonna pave it out from scratch and create it. I'm gonna create it. You create the demand for yourself. You know, like, I have something to say that's valuable that people want to hear, be it through storytelling, through acting, or be it through my public speaking or my writing, or any one of those avenues. So, but I know exactly that feeling that you're talking about. It is very intimidating at first until you conquer that.
It really is. It really is. And you put it well, you know, it's the believing in yourself. And in believing in yourself, you will yield some results in due time. I'm wondering also, do you have some actors or actresses that inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. Males and females, but I'll stick with the females, because I think that's more of a good mentorship for me to watch, and that would be Jodie Foster. I just think she's just, you know, she's super intelligent, and she's standalone. In other words, she's not always the actress that's paired up with the other lead actress. She's always, if you watch her roles, she's totally in authority, and she's totally by herself. She's an authoritarian, you know. So, yeah, she's just amazing. Yeah. But there's so many others. I mean, I could go on and on about people that I watch, but I do. And you know, it's funny. I dream about them too. I dream about them like they're my peers. Like, I've had several dreams about Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, I dream about celebrities too. I just had one the other night. It's funny you said it, because I just had, what was it, like 2 mornings ago, in which Justin Timberlake, it wasn't just him, no. It was some other ones, but he stuck. You know how you have this long dream, but then there's certain moments that stick in your mind more than others?
Right.
So the Justin Timberlake thing was more vivid for some reason. It's almost like my consciousness was like, remember this part, you know? And so I remember. Like, this is a good point. So I remember introducing myself to him, and I was like, hey, I'm Don. And he was like, oh, I already know that.
Nice. That's a good sign, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, and then, go ahead, sorry.
No, you go first.
Okay. So this morning, I'm remembering. Then this morning, I have a dream. I'm on a tour bus with Floyd Mayweather.
Oh, hilarious!
And I'm like his press guy, though. Like, I'm pressed for him, and we like draw this personal relationship from like interviewing him, and almost like his personal filmmaker or something. It's like he trusted all his information with me. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, these dreams, that's so funny. I swear we're on parallel paths. It's incredible. I had a dream, my first dream about Oprah. I've had a couple of them, and they're always like, we're best of friends. And I always said that I would be the white Oprah, like just having. No, I'm being dead serious. I'm going to Kanye again, but you know, like every form of media that's out there, just being a mogul, just a multi-millionaire mogul, you know?
Yeah.
So the first dream I had about her, we were actually in her kitchen and I was braiding her hair. Like, I've never done cornrows before, but I was sitting there braiding her hair, and we were just having girl talk, just like we were just, you know, BFFs.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like 2006. That was like when I first moved here. I had that dream, and then I've had another one since where she came to visit me and my family. I think we were in New Orleans or something. She came to visit me, and she took me in her SUV. We went out riding and talking and having like a heart-to-heart. So yeah, I look at these dreams as really profound and good signs that show that these are my peers and that I have created that reality and that I am at that somewhere I am at that level. Yeah. And I am reaching that level, manifesting it in this reality plane as well.
No doubt about it. I feel
that's the way I look at it. I don't know how you interpret it, but
yeah. I see. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put it exactly in those words, as you just brought more perspective on it that I agree with, but it's all one and the same. I see it exactly like that too. It's just that you are resonating at that level, and you need to just sink it more deeply into your own skin, into this material world. You know,
right,
it's just,
exactly.
It's just bringing it closer to home. So you talked about actresses, female. What about male? A male actor that inspires you?
Oh gosh, there's several, and for some reason I'm blanking.
Well, female for me is Meryl Streep.
Oh, I was gonna say her. Yeah, of course.
She's just like, wow. Like, every time I see her, I'm just like, that's an actress. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? She's a consummate professional. She transports you every time she takes on a role, you know?
Yeah, it's just another, it's like, this is art. This is real art. Some people just, they don't give you that feeling like that. It's just like, it just is what it is.
Yeah, they're more like pop actors. Like, they're just, you know.
Right.
They're just stars. They're not so much the artists, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's the real deal. Actor for me, as you're thinking, well, I love Denzel.
Yeah, he's good.
Denzel is the man, you know. Okay. Who about you? Who are you thinking? Anybody yet?
You know, I love Clint Eastwood. And he's a good actor, but more so about his whole, what he's all about, you know. And I mean, every movie he directs and makes is an epic to me. And I like Joaquin Phoenix. I think Brad Pitt. Yeah, I like Brad Pitt. I think he's actually underrated. I think he's done some really, really powerful work.
Yeah.
Sean Penn is pretty powerful.
Totally. Yeah, Sean Penn and what's the other? Johnny Depp. I like Johnny Depp.
Of course, yeah, Johnny Depp. That's a given.
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
I think people that actually channel other people instead of just acting are the most powerful actors out there.
Yeah, it's almost like an unconscious thing where, you know, you become something else.
Right, and even down to like the little mannerisms and stuff. I think Jamie Foxx is incredible.
Yeah, see, we're totally vibing because
yeah.
Right before you said that, I was thinking of Jamie Foxx and Ray Charles like crazy.
And you know what's funny? His name isn't Jamie Foxx. He took on that name when he was doing the stand-up comedy circuit,
right?
So that he would stand out, and actually, so that they would think maybe he was a girl, so he would get called because there's so many males in the stand-up comedy circuit. And someone like Jamie Foxx and even Jennifer Lopez, their careers, not so much their acting per se, although I think Jamie's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
But their careers in general, like how they created themselves from scratch and built themselves up into being complete award-winning multi-millionaire moguls and multifaceted, like, you know, dance, music, acting, I mean, just all over the place. And they're successful in every area. They're not just like trying to be, they're actually successful and accepted in every area. And that's what I appreciate.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you think is the difference then about someone like, you know, Jamie Foxx, who can just, it seems like he comes from quote-unquote nothing. It's like you come from nothing and you make yourself into a superstar, multi-millionaire. what is it about someone like Jamie versus the person who, perceives this road to be a long one?
I think the biggest influence, the biggest force is the confidence level. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It's just the confidence level. I don't know if it was, I saw a quote somewhere, I don't know if it was Marlon Brando or somebody, I think it might have been Marlon Brando, but they were saying, that to be a good actor, it's all about confidence. And I think that's true with anything in life. We're going back to having that faith and that belief in yourself. And that, I think, comes from your connection to your higher power, your connection to your source energy. You are really allowing that to flow through you unrestricted. That shines, and that's the confidence that is unstoppable, because now you're talking about divine energy, divine divinity, that can't be stopped. If you allow that to flow through you, that shines as confidence, you can succeed in anything you attempt. And that's, I mean, I've pretty much, anything that I've tried and attempted in my life, I've done and been good at, not just accomplished, but been good at it. And this has definitely been the hardest road I've had yet, but that's because I think I'm just now starting to come into my value and come into, yeah, I am good. Yes, I do belong here, because it's such a strong force, Hollywood, and so many people telling you there's too much competition and then you're not going to be able to make it, that kind of thing. That to overcome that has been difficult, and that's why it's taken me so long, the 5-6 years, longer than I thought it would take. Yeah. But I'm getting there. I'm there now. The other road that was the most difficult for me was my sobriety, was getting sober and basically saving my own life. And I'd say this journey, conquering Hollywood, has really, except for the only thing it doesn't have is the physical pain, like the physical sickness and pain that I went through. But spiritually and emotionally and mentally, it's just about as difficult as that journey was for me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's up there.
That's something that started when you were in high school or something?
Yeah, I mean, I started drinking at a young age, and I think I had the I mean, it runs in my family, so it's in my genes. I had the propensity to it, but yeah, it quickly turned on me at the end of my Navy career, actually, and I was, for about 2 years, I was pretty much dying in emergency rooms and hospitals and rehabs and psych wards, and yeah, you wouldn't recognize me. I mean, I would try to quit and I would have seizures. I mean, I was literally dying. I mean, it was really bad.
Wow.
So I basically had to. At that point too, I was in so much pain that I wanted to die. I just wanted, relief. I wanted out of here. I mean, I didn't think I had it in me. But what was funny was, like, my spirit, everybody around me saw more than I did, and at first I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get sober for my mom, and I'm going to give it one more shot for her, and I'm going to give it one more shot for the Navy, and one more shot for this chaplain that wouldn't give up on me, and one more shot for, everybody else that believed I could do it when I really had given up. Mm-hmm. And it was really, really difficult because, I had to basically change everything I ever knew about myself and about life. My Navy career, which is what I'd wanted since I was really, really young, that was gone. Everything I ever knew was gone. Am I ever going to be able to have fun again? All of these fears. And even though I was in so much pain and physically I was dying, I literally was struggling with that choice, which I know sounds insane, and that's what addiction is. It is insanity. Yeah. But once I finally decided to go for it, I left Puerto Rico and I went back to live with my mom and her husband on her ranch out in the middle of the country in Idaho, where I couldn't get in any trouble. And basically just started reconnecting to my spirit again, and I worked with the animals, worked outdoors a lot, and for about a year, that's all I did was just work on my sobriety and go through the 12 steps and getting sober, and I basically had to rebuild myself from the ground up. Like, I had to rebuild my whole character, everything I thought about who I was, and what my potential is and what I wanted to be. And that's a scary, scary place to be, to start over from scratch, when you thought you had everything in the bag. Yeah. It's really, really frightening. But I'm telling you what, like October 25th, I have 9.5 years sobriety, wow. And it keeps getting better, and I'm more powerful than ever, and I think I'm more valuable than I ever was before, having gone through that. Mm-hmm. Now I have something to share, and it's all very, very worth it. So
Congratulations, sister.
Thank you, my brother.
You are the white Oprah.
I'm telling you, all over the place.
I mean, I didn't have an intensity per se with using different, whether it's drinking or smoking weed. I was definitely a weed head in high school. But at the same time, I did struggle, no doubt, with drinking and smoking. Some people just don't have the right genetic code for that stuff. You know, your body just resists all of it. And so that's what happened with me over time. I think, you know, when you're younger, you can just do it. You know, you could drink, not have hangovers, drink, and eat as much McDonald's as you want.
Right.
But you get to a point where the body's like, okay, dude, you got to balance some of this out. And but I was no doubt fully entrenched. And with the weed, it put me in a crazy state. You know, I became extremely self-conscious and paranoid, and also for good reason, because I did have people envious, there's that word again, envious of me in high school, because I was like the guy who was getting more attention from the girls, and I was also doing spoken word poetry that got me attention. Here, we're just like the same. You're like my sister, right?
Right,
so,
we must be.
Yeah, soul sister. So I was going through similar kind of things. And then with drinking, I don't drink anymore. My last drink, I do random stuff. Like maybe 3 years ago for New Year's, I had a champagne or something. But it's another thing where I can't do it. It just totally... it throws me off. Like, I feel like when I drink, I feel like I have a hangover for 2 or 3 days or something. It's just, you know, it's just not for you. And it's been, you know, a lot of my uncles, you know, died, you know, over the addiction of cognac, and it's in the genes. So I almost feel like my cells are intelligent enough to resist it because it knows it's just downhill for me.
Right. Well, that's good that you were smart about it. For me, like I saw, just for the people out there that are curious, I did see the line coming, and I crossed it. Yeah. I saw it coming for a couple of years, and I just kept abusing and pushing the envelope because that's who I am. I'm an extremist. I always have been. Like I'm a risk taker, and I always want to push the envelope. Now I'm just smarter about it. I just do it for things that I know are only going to be productive. You know what I mean? So. No doubt about it. So yeah, I saw the line coming, and I crossed it. And what happened was, once you cross the line, you can never go back because now you're physiologically addicted, and there's nothing you can do about that. Like, that doesn't change because it changes your DNA, it changes your cells, it changes your brain structure, it changes how it becomes like an allergy, but one that you're addicted to. So when I drank, I was sick, and when I didn't drink, I was sick. It was like a total catch-22 state I put myself in. And but like I said, I don't regret anything. I'm glad that I did it. I had to go through that. This is the profound thing that I got out of it, okay? If I hadn't have gone through that situation, I would have never lived up to my potential. And I know that might sound crazy, being that I had a good career as an officer in the Navy, and, I was traveling the world, and I was dealing with foreign dignitaries and the president and admirals and all this kind of exciting stuff, but I was not living up to my potential. And if I hadn't have gone through this and faced death, I would have never, that's the only thing that God, or whatever you want to call it, knew would actually push me to the point that says, to wake me up and say, look, you're not living up to your potential. You got bigger and better things that you could be doing, and you're not doing it. Yeah. And so for me, looking death in the face and losing my Navy career were the only things to push me to that point, to really snap me back on track and say, look, I am bigger than this. I am powerful. I'm not living up to my potential here in this life, on this earth plane. So I got to get it together. And so I'm grateful for it. And now I have a story to tell. And I'm actually writing a book. And I got a literary agent. It's called Living the High Life Without Drinking the Champagne.
I was just going to ask you about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it's going to help. It's going to help a lot of people. And it tells them all about my time in the Navy and all the drama and excitement, and then my fall, my crash and burn, and how I picked myself back up with a lot of help, mind you. Speaking of mom, got to give mom a shout out. But yeah, so it tells that story, and it tells of how I did it and the help that I got, and what it's done for me, and where I'm at now. And now I'm in Hollywood, and I'm making big waves, and there you go. So none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have this public of a voice had I not gone through all that. I wouldn't be soon to be affecting millions of people with my story had I not gone through all of that. So,
and I can relate in terms of having an experience in order to maximize my potential, and
right.
and it is connected once again with the drinking and the smoking and traveling the world, meeting a lot of women, indulging in sexual activities, going buck wild crazy, and then like realizing, I can't do this forever, getting exhausted, getting just way too exhausted, and having Spirit, humble me and say, like, dude, you got to get it together. And so I'm thankful of those experiences I've had that, on one level felt like limited me at one point in time, but really saved me, because
exactly.
I think it's just human nature to be lazy, to just kind of go with the pleasure road, not to see yourself having this big mission force. It's like, well, Lord, I'll get to that later. Let me just have some fun.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Spirit has to put you in check. And I think that's something that many of us still need, and we miss the boat. Or we don't perceive the suffering in that way, and so we continue to dwell in self-pity.
Dwell or keep putting Band-Aids on it instead of fixing the core of the issue, which is a lot of what I'll be talking about. And that's really cool. Yeah, you don't have to be an actual full-blown alcoholic to relate. I mean, this is a natural human condition. It just manifests itself in different ways. I mean, some people get promiscuous, and some people become overweight, and some people gamble, and some people are addicted to internet porn. All of these things are soul sicknesses. They're all self-esteem sicknesses. It's the black hole in that pit of your stomach that we're trying to fill with immediate gratification, like you were talking about, or the easy fix. And none of that is going to bring about, I mean, you'll be fulfilled in the moment, but then you'll be, you'll have that, like you said, that hangover, whether or not it's a physical hangover, it could be a spiritual hangover, where you're sitting there and you're alone and you're like, what am I doing with my life? Those questions. I don't have those questions anymore. I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and I know what I'm doing, and that's the endurance that keeps me going nowadays,
Yeah, I can say the same for myself. Now, with YouTube, we initially connected, and I know it was predominantly with spiritual matters. I'm wondering some of the cultures that have influenced your sacred beliefs about yourself and the world.
Oh, what doesn't influence me? I mean, yeah, we've kind of had this discussion a little bit before. The higher consciousness type of content on YouTube. I do have a channel where I delve into a lot of that from my own perspective.
Goldilocks.
My Goldilocks channel. But I like I said, I've always been fascinated with religions. I studied religious studies all the way through college, and like I said, I like to find the truth in everything, and I think there is truth in every religion, and I think that's a tool to get people initiated and get them started. But then I think what needs to happen, what has happened for me, is that you need to branch out on your own and have your own self-discovery and find your own truth. And I mean, I've looked into like the Eastern religions. I find a lot of truth there now for where I'm at. I started out, I was baptized Presbyterian, so I started out Christian, and technically I am a Christian, but I think, if you understand the meaning of that, I think everybody is, just as everybody is. I am all religions, and I am no religion. Let's just put it that way. I claim them all, but I claim them all, but I let none claim me. That's how I like to put it.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, because it's just like Bruce Lee was talking about the martial arts. You study them all, and then you take what works for you. And so the Eastern religions now are where I'm at, because now I'm past the dogma and the literal text, and I'm more into like the energetic studies and the quantum studies and the energetic influences and that kind of thing. So how I can practically apply, through meditation and through sound manipulation and and that kind of thing. So that, the Hinduism and the Buddhism and the Zen and but I've studied them all. I've looked into the Islam, and I've looked into all of them. I think they all, like I said, they all have truth to offer. But as far as on a practical level, right now, I'm more into the energetic studies and how can I influence that for myself on a practical level. So
yeah.
But I know your teacher. You study with Dr. Treya Shiva Baba, who's now Dr. Pillai, and I'm subscribed to his channel. He's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of the chanting and stuff like that really works. And I think, if anything, if you don't believe in the words or anything, just the chanting just as a meditative form to get you out of your head and your thought process, to get your vocal cords moving and the vibration going, if anything, I think is productive.
I completely agree. It's just having some kind of practice, and
right.
That's something that's missing for a lot of people. They just don't have something they can put their time and energy into, even if it's 20 minutes a day, but just having something that can take you away from all the stress and the strain and bring you back to yourself, anchor yourself.
Right. I mean, even if you're an atheist, 15 minutes of breathing a day, just breathing with trying to not have any thought. Once you start having a thought, go back to concentrating on your breathing.
Right.
I mean, things like that are helpful, and I think that reconnects you with, your higher power, your higher source, whatever you want to, however that relates to you, or however you want to visualize that.
Well, I like to say your highest imagined self.
There you go.
Your most imagined self, because that's what it's all about. I mean, if you could attain what you see yourself, your highest imagined self, God is happy. That's enough.
There we're going back to living up to your potential again.
There you go. It's all a circle.
It was Einstein who was talking about imagination being the most powerful force in the universe, not intellect.
Right.
And I really believe in that. I think when you're in your creative zone, that's when you're most connected to Source. When you are living in your imagination and letting it flow through you, letting those ideas flow, you are connected, my friend. And there is no end to the potential as long as you just let that flow. I mean, I know when I was writing my poetry and doing the spoken word circuit, I mean, I had to literally keep a pad and pen by my bed because I was sleeping maybe 2 to 4 hours a night. I was constantly writing because it was like I opened up the floodgates and it was just flowing and I couldn't stop it, but I wasn't tired at all. I was energized.
Yes.
And I was constantly writing. I was writing like 2 or 3 pieces a day.
Yes.
And I basically wrote my entire 3 volumes of books in 6 months. So, yeah, it was powerful. It was a powerful time. But when you tap into that, you don't need a whole lot of sleep, and you're just energized, and you feel good, and you feel like you have purpose, and it's like, I don't know, it's difficult to explain, but I'm sure you've been there, where you're in that.
Oh, have I been out of
consciousness, that stream of consciousness, flow of energy. It's just a great place to be,
I got 2 words for you: Abraham Hicks. It's just like,
love it.
Being in that vortex and the creative juices are flowing, and you just got so many ideas just coming and coming and coming and coming. I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. Totally. Yeah,
I love Jerry and Esther. I love Abraham Hicks. I mean, some people might write it off as being, the foo-foo ethereal stuff, but, they're really, it's really practical, common sense stuff. If you just give it a shot, it has really helped me out immensely. And the thing is, I never get tired of it. Like, I can hear it over and over and over again. Yes. And every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That is it.
That is it. Yeah, because we all need reminders, and that ties into my question in terms of keeping the faith, because we all get tested and we all have moments of doubt. It's just the nature of this world. So I'm wondering, how do you keep the faith? Do you have techniques you use in keeping your faith?
Yeah, that is the toughest demon for me to conquer. Is that, and I think for everybody, is that self-doubt, that worry. I'm a worrier by nature. And I think when it's good for me, like when watching Abraham Hicks videos or any of those other other videos from those other teachers were talking about. Another good Hindu teacher is Paramahansa Nityananda.
Yeah, I
He's
know
a little
that
younger,
one.
but he's got this beautiful, glorious smile that just lights up my face, you know?
Yes, I like him.
But yeah, so it takes self-discipline, basically, is what it comes down to redirect your thought, because this reality is not conducive to self-confidence and self-esteem and really believing in yourself. It's really not set up that way, and we've all set it up that way, but you can't buy into it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You can't. We're going back to Kanye. You just can't buy into the bull. I won't curse.
It's all right. Free yourself.
Yeah, it's a daily battle with me. It's a daily battle, but it's just a self-discipline of redirecting my thought and breathing. I know it sounds silly, but sometimes just taking a big, long, deep breath redirects me and gets me back on track. It's like, okay, Jamie, calm down. This is not that big of a deal. You are who you are. You're on the right track, and everything's okay. And just refocus about, bring yourself back into the higher perspective about. Because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the everyday, especially here in show business. There's so much crap. There's so much petty crap that you have to deal with. And so to just try to remind yourself to go back to a higher perspective of like, okay, why am I doing this in the first place? Yeah. Not focus on what am I doing, but why am I doing it? And I think if you focus more on the why, it naturally brings you back to, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this, and I am okay, and I have God on my side, and on all is well. That kind of attitude. But yeah, it's a daily battle. I mean, I'm definitely not. I mean, I consider myself a master like you do, but I'm basically there are different levels of mastery, and I'm working on that. It's a journey, and I'm moving on up.
But you hit a valid point, very strong point about the why. Because people forget their root. That's something else I learned about in terms of forgiving yourself or forgiving others. In this series I've been privy to is whatever you do, it doesn't matter what it is, you can feel like you did the most horrible thing. You have to go back to the root of why you started the journey in the first place, and it'll always be positive. That's the crazy thing.
Right.
No matter what it is, you always had this pure intention of whether it was to love someone or be loved or share or find what it is to be a woman or be a man, and that I think ties into keeping the faith, the why, when you're speaking about the why. Another thing that helps me too is reminding myself of very magical synchronicity